is the Wannabe Saints podcast, where we take virtues and try to break them down so they become tangible and applicable to your life.
We aren't here to bring you advice, we're here to bring you virtue. I'm Jordyn.
And I'm Rachel.
We're your hosts,
and this is Wannabe Saints. Welcome back to Wannabe Saints, everybody. Tonight we have a super special guest, our number one supporter. I was going to say MVP, but then I was like, how could I? Most valuable player.
Oh, that works.
Yeah. Always supporting us. And
that
Jordyn,
works tonight, too, because playing and praying. You know what I mean? Leisure.
Yeah, true. Playing and praying. That's what we like to do. Jordyn, introduce this man.
Let's welcome my husband, Kyle.
Also the father of our son, Orlin, and our soon-to-be baby girl coming. We've been married for 5 years. We've been together for 10. And it's been a pretty incredible journey. A lot of growing.
A lot of fun.
And a lot of fun. And
a lot of leisure.
Yeah, a lot of leisure. I'm very proud of you guys. Because Rachel's been a friend for 4 years, and you guys are starting a podcast, and it's just pretty incredible how much better you guys get, and it's awesome to see these guests that you guys get on, and I don't know, it's just, you guys are doing great, so it's awesome to see you guys do what you guys are doing, so.
Thanks.
Very thankful to be on the episode, so that's crazy.
It's about time we have you on, and actually, we did have him on, but it was when we were too awkward and too new, so.
Yeah.
Nobody heard that episode.
We're almost at a year, so that's crazy.
Yeah.
That was like a year ago that we recorded that one.
Coming up.
That's true. Well, if you guys couldn't guess the topic for the night, it is leisure.
Yeah.
And not just leisure, but keeping holy Sundays, the Lord's Day, the Sabbath day. That's really what this episode is about.
And I think work-life balance, like work with leisure and having a balance between that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is a hot topic because our society is one of productivity, and so many people's identities.
I was going to say their identity lies in their production or productivity. So
before we get into our own personal opinions and hot takes and whatever of, this topic, because I feel often people assume leisure is laziness, or that people just don't know what true leisure is or what that means. And if you're someone who prioritizes Mass on Sunday or prioritizes not working, it's like, why? You just being lazy? What are you doing? And so no, this isn't opinion. This is actually fact. So before we get to not only just like our opinions being based off of facts, letting people know all the facts so that there's no, why would you say that? Or you don't get my life.
Well, to be honest, when you asked me to come on for leisure, I was like completely offended. I was like, what? As a man, just, what, I'm really good at leisure? You call me lazy? And then because I would have never thought leisure as like a virtue or a way to grow in virtue. I never really, how many people research leisure as growing in virtue and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And now I'm so thankful that you guys are doing an episode like this, because I've learned so much about it, and like seeing how it plays in our life and actually in our relationship, and how it's helped us grow past so many difficult moments, that it's something that's been like in us all the time that I never really knew about.
Which is why I asked you to be on. So I knew you got offended that night when I asked you.
Oh, yeah, completely.
And I was like, that's not what that means, Kyle.
I was like, don't tell your dad that.
No. And I was like, that's not what that means. And I'm glad you actually brought that up, because people will be like, your podcast is about virtue. Leisure is not virtue. No, but it is, because it requires virtue. It requires so many different types of virtue to be able to truly enter into leisure. And we'll get into all of that, whether that's prayer, whether that's faith, because you have to surrender the fact that you're not working because, oh my gosh, you have to get so much done.
Sacrifice it.
Right? Yeah. You're sacrificing to be like, no, Lord, I'm present to you. And there's more of just being able to
like the act of leisure, it cultivates other virtues. And
the reason Kyle is on tonight is because Jordyn and Kyle are the best couple I know at practicing leisure. And for those of you who think it's laziness, Kyle just said he got offended when I said that. It is not that. It's like the opposite of that. But I am the youngest of 6 kids. All my siblings are married. My parents are still together. All my friends are married. All I witness is marriages. And this is no knock to anyone, but it's just amazing how it's naturally within you because you're like, I just learned so much from this topic. But you guys are genuinely, it's like innate in you that you have leisure. And I think that's something that is just, it's so lost is really what it is.
It's something that I always knew we did, but I never knew there was I never put the word to it. I always knew it was there, and I always knew it was something that we were good at. I think I always just summed it with communicating. I'm like, oh, we're really good at communicating. But it's more than that. Because communicating is part of the leisure. But yeah, leisure is the grand, word that encompasses all this and helps us grow so much more than what we do if we just work our life away.
Yeah.
Yes. So before we keep going and people are like, great, so what the heck is leisure? Because it's apparently not laziness. Let's give you a definition. So
where did you get this definition from? I'm just curious.
The Catholic Church doesn't have a...
That's us, yeah.
It doesn't have... It's not, look up in the Catechism leisure
exactly.
or anything like that. But Leisure, the Basis of Culture is a book I had to read in college. And so between that, the Catechism, the Bible, and all of that, leisure, in a Catholic understanding, can be seen as a time to set aside for rest, recreation, and activities that enrich the mind and spirit. It is not just an absence of work, but a dedicated time for pursuing activities that allow for reflection, spiritual growth, and enjoyment of God's creation.
Love that.
Yeah.
So I pretty much had the same thing when I looked it up. And one of my favorite little sections of it was an active stillness. Isn't that kind of cool?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Kind of want to start with the very basics. Where does this come from and why is this a thing and why does it matter? What's the difference between leisure and rest? That is just easy and quick to just get out of the way for people. Doesn't that just mean go to bed?
Yeah.
Leisure is definitely different based off of that.
So powerful. I sleep a lot.
Yeah. Obviously, after you hear that definition, it is different from rest. But rest would be for your physical and mental recovery. Rejuvenation is what I was trying to think of. And then you're pausing from labor. You're taking a break, like at lunch. You're taking a lunch because you're resting from your laborious job, especially you, Kyle. You're a roofer, right? You're taking that time of rest. It's a siesta. There's siestas in all other countries, right? It's a time of rest, but it's not necessarily leisure.
Yeah.
But they're taking a break from their laborious work. So rest is different, where leisure can be rest, but it's bringing you to God. That's ultimately what it comes down to.
Yeah, I always like to think of rest as like a reset. It lets you go on and move on to the next laborious activity or the week or whatever you got next. But it's just a reset. So
for sure. Moving into where does this come from? Why does it matter? And why should we even care now? It all starts in Genesis, people.
Yeah.
Literally
Right
chapter 2 of Genesis. It's right there in our faces. So it's to talk about leisure is not to say don't work.
Yep.
Then this is what I found really cool when I was doing my research, and we already talked about this upstairs, but was that in Genesis 2, it talks about how God gave Adam work prior to the fall. So you were never not meant to work. We are meant to work, but the way work is now for us is different than what it could have been.
Because of the fall.
Yes, because of the fall.
Yeah. It originally was given to us as a gift from God.
Yeah.
He gave us this beautiful land, and it was our gift from him to take care of it, to till it.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think that's one of the reasons why I love mowing the lawn. It's like one of those little works, but it always reminds me of just tilling the land. Like, you're not really tilling, but, you know, you're taking care of your property. You're
in nature in that moment.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a different kind of connection there.
Obviously, it's also quietness away from like the crazy household or whatever's going on. But yeah, it always brings you back to land. It's like taking care of this land that God gave you.
Yeah.
It's a gift from him. And work is originally a gift from him.
Well, I've even heard too, we were made in God's image and likeness, and his likeness was working for joy. He designed life to have work.
Well, his creation also was work, and his
Right.
creation
Well, that's
was
what I mean. In his likeness, as he worked to create everything,
out of love.
and then he rested, but he designed us in his likeness to be made to work.
So if you can think about that, then it's okay. God worked for 6 days, and on the 7th day,
He rested. Yeah.
So if that's what he did, our work now is, after the fall, it's like a sacrifice. It's all that, and we'll get into that. But it's Genesis 2:15. It says, "The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to till it and keep it." As simple as that. That's prior to the fall. Yep. He had to work. Moving on, so chapter 3 then, all of a sudden the fall happens.
Yes.
And this is what God said. "And to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth to you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. You are dust, and to dust you shall return." In the sweat of your face, you shall eat bread. You have to work for what you are eating now.
Yeah.
And that wasn't supposed to be what it was. It was this joyful connection to the Lord. And now it's, nope, now you work to earn anything that you have.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just given. It's not just there.
Yeah.
It's so cool because now you have to work for what you earn, but like still what you're earning is a gift from God. And that's where it has to also be, is like you are doing this because you have to find work for the greater glory of God. And to do that, you have to keep God in the focus of it.
That's where Opus Dei is cool.
Yeah.
Because Opus Dei brings purpose to people's daily lives, right? Jose Maria Escriva, he founded this idea that like you can become a saint in your day-to-day work. You can become a saint through any job you have. You can become Kyle, the patron saint of roofers, and Jordyn can become the patron saint of hairstylists. Yeah. And it's just that no matter what your job is, you can sanctify it. Mm-hmm. And that's what's cool about all of this. And so actually, this is perfect because in the Catechism, it says that work honors the Creator. Mm-hmm. And it talks about how it becomes redemptive even when you unite it to Christ. So I've actually never heard that. I don't think I've ever done that.
Have you ever done it in like a morning offering?
Oh yeah. But in the way of Mass and uniting it at the offering, right? Yeah. Let me just read this so that it makes more sense, maybe, because I guess I didn't ever think to myself, and maybe everybody's like, you're stupid, but I never went to Mass and thought about work. I thought about the people in my life and the other things going on in my life, or the Thanksgivings I have for God, and maybe I've said thank you for my job and stuff, but I don't sit there and offer my work at
Think about being sanctified through your actual job.
Yeah. So here, let me just read this real quick to you, okay? So paragraph 2427 says, human work proceeds directly from persons created in the image of God and called to prolong the work of creation by subduing the earth both with and for one another. Hence, work is a duty. If anyone will not work, let him not eat. Work honors the Creator's gifts and talents received from him. It can also be redemptive. By enduring the hardship of work in union with Jesus, the carpenter of Nazareth, and the one crucified on Calvary, man collaborates in a certain fashion with the Son of God in his redemptive work. He shows himself to be a disciple of Christ by carrying the cross daily in the work he is called to accomplish. Work can be a means of sanctification and a way of animating earthly realities with the Spirit of Christ. Which connects to the following paragraph where it made sense to me after reading them about Mass. So 1368 says, the Eucharist is also the sacrifice of the Church. The Church, which is the body of Christ, participates in the offering of her head. With him, she herself is offered whole and entire. She unites herself to his intercession with the Father for all men. In the Eucharist, the sacrifice of Christ, also the sacrifice of the members of his body, the lives of the faithful, their praise, sufferings, prayer, and work are united with those of Christ and with his total offering, and so acquire a new value. Christ's sacrifice present on the altar makes it possible for all generations of Christians to be united with his offering.
Yep. The praise, sufferings, prayer, and work. And that's like a daily offering that you make, any offering that you make in the morning.
My prayers, works, joys, and sufferings.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you do that every day, bringing that to him on the altar makes a lot of sense.
Right.
I've never thought about that either.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's like I say the daily offering.
Yeah,
I go to
day,
my job for the greater glory of God.
Yeah.
That's everything. But for whatever reason,
Never
I
bring
go
it
to Mass and I'm like, I'm here for the sacrifice of the Mass and the Lord and the Eucharist. I'm here for the presence of the Eucharist, but I've never been like at the offering. This is where value comes. That never clicked for me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, wow. That just enhances all the more the importance of the Lord's Day.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
And why you need to take a break from your work. That day, because most people can't make it to daily Mass, that moment, is not only important about the Eucharist, that brings value to all aspects of your life, if you allow it.
And it's that day that allows everybody to come together and rejoice and rest in the Lord, because he is presenting himself to us through the sacrifice of the Mass.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always thought that the working 6 days a week, that's not in our society now. You like work 5 days a week normally, right? And then,
but I also feel like people don't actually ever take a day of leisure because they make their whole entire weekend about getting projects done, about getting things done. They don't take the time to actually invest in their family. Or like what this one says, 2184. I'm going to just read. So 2184, it says, just as God rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had done, human life has a rhythm of work and rest. The institution of the Lord's Day helps everyone enjoy adequate rest and leisure to cultivate their familial, cultural, social, and religious lives. You need that time of rest in order to have the good family home. It's important to have social aspects of life. So it's like you have that day for all of that. But I would say the most important is your family. And building that church in the home of having that time of leisure.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I had a thought earlier and I wrote it down. With that idea, it's if your kid is learning on Sunday how to throw a baseball, but not the priority of Mass, or that's what matters.
You're skipping Mass to go to football practice.
Yeah. Your Sunday should not be planned around all your other activities. Your Sunday should be planned around Mass.
Yeah.
Well, it's so common now. It's like, what social thing do we have going on today to where, what Mass do we got to go to? It's never like...
We do that all the time.
I'm guilty of it too,
We either have a busy
absolutely.
Sunday, so we should probably just go to Mass Saturday night. Or it's, all right, we have this thing going on, so instead of going to the 9 o'clock Mass that we normally do go to, we're going to go to 10:30, or we're going to go to noon, or we'll go to 7:30, or whatever.
For sure.
Rather than going to the Mass that we normally go to and then building around that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, sorry, we can't do that because we have to go to Mass at 9.
Yeah.
People don't say that, but there's also so many options.
Yeah.
Here's another hot take on a side note.
That's the thing, too. There's so many options.
This is totally an opinion thing. Okay, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
Not facts.
I feel like
Well
we've
aware
talked
of
about
that.
this
Yeah.
before.
Well, it's, if I have to pick an evening Mass, pet peeve, I don't like going to Sunday evening Mass. You say Saturday evening Mass, I'll be like, okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's funny.
And it's, but
That's
why?
so funny, yeah.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, it's because I know that the gospel is everything for that weekend, that day. So if it doesn't
my days
feel
already.
like Sunday,
Yeah.
if I
It
go
really
to Mass
doesn't.
in the evening on Sunday.
Yeah.
But if I go
It is already
Saturday
over.
evening and I get fed, that's where you're getting fed, both spiritually and physically, and then I'm going into Sunday with that.
Yeah. We've had this conversation before of...
Being prepared for Mass.
Yeah, being prepared for Mass.
Yeah.
Is it really are you going to really get a lot out of Mass when you are rushing around getting ready and you're just like running into Mass right before it's about to start and you're sweating, your heart rate's pumping, and you're like, oh, good, I made it. And now let's start. Or are you going to get a lot more out of it when you've had the morning to wake up, to leisurely get ready, but also, have some morning time of prayer. Prepare yourself, get into Mass.
Family.
Yeah, especially with families. And
feed your kids and get out the door in a peaceful manner so you're not just raging.
Yeah, like it's
like, oh man, we forgot to feed Jordyn this morning.
And each family is going to have their own routines.
Totally.
Some families stay up late, some families get up early. More power to you if you're really a 7:30 a.m. going family. Yeah. But if all you're doing and your only plan truly was for Mass that day, and you were going to 7:30 and you're like raging on the way, would it just be better to go to 9 a.m.? Like, why not 9 a.m.?
Yeah.
It's just contemplating those things because I understand that, like, I'm single and I only have me, myself, and I to worry about. So it's like, for me, I'm not a morning person. So I'd gladly go to 9 a.m. But I can wake up a little bit. You wake up at 7:30 and I have time to listen to a reflection on the gospel or on the readings, take my time, have a coffee, get ready, and get to Mass. And then at Mass, read all the readings before Mass starts. That's all the difference. I definitely don't have that time at 7:30 Mass. Like, that's me waking up at 6, and that feels like a lot.
Yeah. It's preparing yourself.
I'm not a 5 a.m.er. I'm just not.
I feel like part of that also shows reverence to the Lord. It's like you're preparing yourself. Like, you're gonna give him your best self rather than this half of yourself that's just barely there.
Going in prayerfully and focused rather than
you're able to
rushed and distracted and not settling in until the Mass is basically over. It's
walking in after the priest is going down the aisle. Just, I'm gonna sneak in.
So that was a good side tangent. And I don't want people to think it's just our opinions. Like, that last tangent, absolutely opinion-based.
Totally.
You take it or leave it.
Yeah,
that's pretty ridiculous of you. But okay, that's what I feel convicted of in my heart. And my path to sainthood's different than yours. So pick and choose what fits for you or whatever. Or what feels like you're convicted of.
Well, there's also exceptions for people going to 5 p.m.
Oh,
it's not everybody that's going to 5 p.m.
exactly.
Mass is just like blowing it off. And
no,
some people are like traveling.
My parents go to 5 p.m. fairly often.
Yeah.
But that, honestly, when my parents go to 5 p.m. Mass, they spent the entire morning together praying the rosary, going on a walk, doing all that because they just love their mornings together. And I'm like, good for you. Personally, I just have a weird thing in my head where I'm like, 5 p.m. Mass is a no-go for me because I'm going to go Saturday night then.
And that works for them because your dad is up early and working and on the phone for most of his mornings, 6 days of the week.
Yep.
Because he owns his own business and he's at the will. He is at the will of other people at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for them to have the one day to enjoy their morning, that's great for them. And still within that, God is at the center of their leisure. They're going on a walk. They're saying the rosary. That's a beautiful thing.
And it's funny because they know that it's like I don't like going.
They laugh at it.
And so when I go with them, they're like, oh my gosh, thank you. Because they feel so loved by the fact that I'm going to Mass with them at the time. Yeah, they're like, wow. Thank you. I was like, I'll go whenever you want to go. It's your birthday. Or I'll be like, I'll go whenever you want to go. It's Father's Day or Mother's Day. Just tell me when we're going. It's fine.
So funny. But yet we're making your dad go to 10:30 on his birthday.
He actually usually loves 10:30.
Oh, good.
So I was like, do you guys want to go out for brunch? And I was thinking even afternoon Mass. And they're like, yeah, we'll go to 10:30 and we'll go out for brunch.
Oh, that's nice. So it's their idea.
Yeah. Well, like my dad said tonight, for 35 years, they went to 10:30 a.m. Mass.
Yeah.
They're just like...
Well, and that's a beautiful thing, too, because they had their set time that worked with their family, and it was still, like, in the morning. Like, it was still in the middle of the day. Yep. Like, their day revolved around the Mass.
Yes.
And they did that for 35 years.
Yep.
What a beautiful thing.
Yep.
And look how faithful your whole family is.
Yeah.
It's, like,
you can...
that's very important.
So, it's from My Daily Bread, and it says, there is no real opposition between laboring for your earthly needs and laboring for heaven. You have to work each day, but this work can be a glorious prayer. You must eat, work, sleep, and have recreation, but all of these can become holy actions done for eternal life. Whatever you do it as I want it done, and you will be doing it as perfectly as possible. Be reasonable in whatever you do or say or think. Refuse to violate my commandments, regardless of any earthly advantage or disadvantage. I made the things of this life for you so that you may perfect yourself by using them intelligently. Using your leisure intelligently. Do it the way he commands.
Yeah, which is perfect because I wanted to shift us back into all that we're talking about, and that is exactly where we need to go back to. What did God create it to be? And why did he create it to be this way? Actually, it says, and I'm sure we'll come across it, and off the top of my head, I didn't write it down. I wish I did. In the Catechism, it says, and even in the Bible, God created the Sabbath for man, not the man for Sabbath. And, okay, then what does that mean? If the Lord literally did something, it's one of the 10 commandments.
He designed it because we need it.
Yeah, so it's like, why would you say no to that?
Yeah.
Why resisting that? It's just...
Because we have busy lives. And we're so caught up in productivity and social events and all these different things. We prioritize different things.
Resting for the sake of growing with God.
Resting has such a negative connotation nowadays.
Like, how often do you walk up to someone and you say, how are you? And they're like, exhausted, tired, busy. That's one of the 3 answers.
Oh, I'm busy.
Yeah. So busy. Yeah. Oh, my life is crazy.
Yeah.
That's everyone. But why does it have to be that way?
Yeah.
It doesn't. Because I'm convinced that everybody's, it's a busy season of life. I'm like, when is it not?
Yeah.
It's always a busy season.
Yeah.
When is it not?
There's a holiday coming up all the time.
I was like, Christmas time's crazy. Yeah. So is summer.
Yeah.
And you know what else? So is fall, because it's the beginning of school and sports start. And then it's...
Yeah, when is it not busy? And it's funny because we're recording this on a Saturday night. But this is like leisure. This isn't the work part of the podcast.
The work part is what you do
the editing,
after this.
Prepping, but at the same time, the prepping is
leisure.
It is leisure.
We're contemplating God. We're contemplating how to grow.
That's
now,
what
are we
Augustine
requiring ourselves to do it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's still, that's...
Well, it is an interior disposition to receive God's grace and truth and a sacrifice of time. I don't think a lot of people realize that to truly leisure, A, that you're going to receive God's grace in that, or B, that it's an actual sacrifice of time. They think it's a waste of time. Every time you bring up resting or something, it's like, well, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yep.
It's all in thanks for God's gifts.
Yeah.
And there's like an order to this. You owe God the work. You owe God the leisure. Anything you do in this life, you owe it to God. You sit down and contemplate it. And it's also a joyful affirmation of our being made for God. Like, we're made for God, to love God.
Think about sitting by a lake, watching a sunset. Why is that peaceful to people? People who don't even have God. I love chasing sunsets. Like waterfalls. There's something that draws you to it.
Yeah.
But being on the water, why is that so peaceful? Because everything, like leisure at home to me is harder than leisure on a boat.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my best comparison. Because when I'm on the boat, all my responsibilities aren't looking at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The laundry pile's not looking at you. The dishes aren't looking at you. Nothing's looking at you. You're engaging in God's creation and you're just like listening to the waves.
Yeah.
You're looking at beauty. It's causing you to wonder. And usually you're on a boat with some good people.
Yeah.
So then you're
having a good conversation.
No one's sitting on their phone because you're engaging in creation. There's something about God's creation that pulls on the human heart.
Yeah.
That is that idea of what could have been for us had the fall not happened, of Adam working in the garden.
Yeah.
It does something to you.
It does.
Yeah, and it's hard because there are some people out there that get anxiety from that. You know what I mean? Because they're like...
Their thoughts creep up on them.
Exactly. They get so restless in the stillness, and there's no production from it. You're not producing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not producing anything, I'm wasting time.
Yep.
I have this limited time on earth. And what am I going to do with it?
Yep.
It's like, I have to produce. I can't waste any moment.
Or it's a crutch. call me out. 2
Oh.
years ago,
That's a good point.
I've gotten a lot better at this. 2 years ago, Jordyn called me out on this. And she was like, anytime you go through something, you are absurdly busy. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I didn't want to acknowledge the hurt or the pain or the sorrow or whatever it was that I was feeling. I was just like, no, I'm fine. So I'm going to just be super busy because I'm fine. And you just power through life. And it's not that I have to go sit and be mopey and like throw myself a pity party, but it's the fact that I can allow for silence because sorrow and pain and hurt are good for you
And
to
you
work
need
through,
them to process things.
to grow
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Look, you can't ignore your thoughts and feelings and
Because
stuff.
with all of that comes compassion and mercy and forgiveness.
It makes
mean,
you
like-
a different person.
You can't have the sufferings and all that stuff. Or you can't have forgiveness and mercy and compassion without the suffering and the pain. Like, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just, how do you get from A to B?
The Blessed Mother, like, she wasn't excused from pain and suffering and sorrow. She had to go through her whole life, like, with her son's death and knowing what was to come.
And,
So it's like you can't avoid that kind of stuff.
and deserved none of it because she
Right.
was perfect.
She was perfect. And it's just a part of life and the human emotion, no matter how perfect you are.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to the leisure being a sacrifice of time, or it feels like a waste of time. I always want to go back to the sitting and playing with your child. I feel like people struggle so hard with actually just like sitting down with like their little ones because they're not having production in sitting and playing with a little kid. Really giving that attention to the little kid, it's your sacrifice, but it's aiding in their growth. That's not productive.
True.
So that's like another thing with work being like an escape from like life problems. You can busy yourself because you have all this stuff going on, so you can just forget about it.
It's easier to go to work than it is to deal with your family.
Sometimes, like, some people think that like work is almost easier for them because they've been doing it for so long, and now I have to like taking care of another person is hard. And this thing that you went to school for, this thing that you've been trained on, it's so second nature to you. And you can find so much like pride in it and just
You can find affirmation.
yeah, it's instant. It's almost
There's
instant gratification.
because
Yeah,
especially parenting specifically,
that's not instant gratification.
you're waiting 30 years to see your results.
Not instant
My
gratification.
parents are
I know it's not.
right.
Yeah, parenting is not. So like
Sure.
when you go and you enjoy your work, and if you're enjoying it in the right way and offering it up to the Lord, that is a good escape. That is so you can. It's on the other aspect, you can forget some of the things that are going on, maybe back at home, or like maybe somebody just passed away, and you have these struggles, and you can just zone in. That was always sports for me. I always loved it because you had to focus so much on the instant. So you had to direct all your energy, which is a good thing. And it helped you feel better afterwards because now you relieve some stress. You can reset through work. It's also keeping God at the priority of it. It's making sure you're using temperance with it, which I think is a huge thing with work. Like you have to
Especially as a man, provider, a desire to be the provider.
Yeah. And temperance and then discipline and trusting. Like you have to trust that what you're doing is for God and God will provide for you and for your family. It's a little easier to do that when you know that He's at the forefront of it.
Do you trust God enough to rest? Rest is an act of faith.
Yeah.
It's not laziness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Praying the rosary every day. I go through waves where I'm like really good at it and then really bad at it. And I'm in a phase of doing good at it. And the first couple days I did it, I even texted Jordyn and I was like, it's amazing what prayer does because I am so much better at getting things done. Like it's a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
When I take the time to pray, how much better my day goes. And it's like, what, 20 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
Rachel, really?
Yeah.
But it's crazy how when you say to God, I surrender my time, He gives tenfold.
Yeah.
Well, it's like my prayer that I mentioned in the motherhood episode of, okay, God, I'm giving you my time and I just need to get a lot of stuff done today. So you're outside of time. So please maximize my day so I can get everything done. And I give you my time so that I can have your time type of a thing.
Yeah.
And it's like literally that day, it was such a slow moving day, but I got more done than I get done any other day. And I felt like I was unproductive, but it was like, wait, no, I got all of the laundry done and folded, the whole house clean, and the floors mopped, and I still spent a ton of time playing with Orlin, and it was all done before you got home.
It's amazing how that can happen. You can do that. It can take you a whole day to do that sometimes, and then there's times where it can take 2 hours, and you're like, how did I just do that?
Yeah.
Well, that and like back before we had Orlin, it was like, man, I used to get this house clean in an hour, and now it's...
Or my thought was, what was my excuse for not getting the house clean?
Yeah, exactly. But it's spending that time in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like our day today was perfectly exemplified what like our leisure is. And
The work and leisure
work and
around the
leisure on
house.
like a Saturday.
Yeah.
We woke up and she's, so what do you got planned for today? I was like, well, I don't know. I definitely need to mow the lawn. And then I just know that we pretty much need to start wrapping things up around 1 or 2 because we're going to go to confession and then we got to start getting ready to head out to Rachel's to record. But the one thing we never said was we spent like the first hour and a half just sitting there drinking coffee and
Praying?
reading and getting ready for the night, but also
Yeah,
just
playing
doing
with
like our
Orlin too,
morning
and-
things, and Orlin's just running around. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, oh man, it's cutting in our time to getting stuff done. Let's see what happens. I was like, I wasn't too stressed about it. But then when we left today, everything was done. We only had 3 hours, and now we get to go home to a clean house. We got everything done in that time, and I guarantee it's because we spent that hour and a half of just like sitting there giving our time to the Lord.
Yep.
If we would have sat there and started right away after breakfast, started rushing to get getting the lawn done and trying to see how much we can get done in the day
There's
rather than...
definitely been Saturdays that it's like, it starts in chaos, and then I'm like freaking out because then Orlin's crabby, and then I'm not getting everything I want done.
And it was still like we were able to
was
play
so
with
peaceful and
Orlin.
fun.
Yeah, it was just it was a perfect balance between work and leisure today. And it felt so just like, this is how life
And
should
it's
be.
not even a Sunday. But that's the
Right.
beauty about
Yeah.
like also your communication and the relationship you have, because you mentioned earlier you thought it was just like, oh, we're really good at communicating. You are, but also you're really good at just choosing each other.
Yeah.
Really good at it.
I think we realize like the busyness of life sometimes. And we're like, all right, this is a night. We just need the porch. It's our escape. Like we always say, we don't got the nicest house in the world at all by any means. But there's still a point to where we can go out on our porch.
And we feel like we're on vacation.
We feel like we're on vacation.
It's like,
Like,
when it's like a humid night but breezy.
You got
We're
the
like,
candles
I
lit.
feel like there's a lake down the street. I
Look
feel like we're
out,
on
the
vacation.
candles are
Yeah.
lit. Like you can't see what's in front of you, but yeah. And there's so many times where we won't say the rosary, but I feel like there are the same amount of graces coming from our conversation,
Oh.
if not more,
100%.
because we bring up, hey, I've been struggling with this. Like, I've been struggling with the way you've been doing this, or I've been struggling with the way that I've been doing this, or I've been struggling with the way that I've been parenting Orlin. Like, I've noticed I'm getting frustrated way quicker than I normally do. Have you noticed that? And we talk through it. We're sitting there having a glass of wine and relaxing, and it's not all serious talk. There's so much laughter and joy that comes out of it. But we solve so many
issues. And there's many a times that we stayed up till like 3 a.m., but our whole entire night was like revolving around growing our relationship and growing closer to God.
What were you saying about play earlier today?
Yeah, there was something comparing leisure time to contemplative prayer. And it's a form of contemplation. And it's like when a child is at play, they're not doing it for any reason of necessity, but they're doing it for the enjoyment. And it becomes contemplation because then you're outside of time in a sense. It's like the world around you goes away and you're just like contemplating something and just getting pure joy out of it. And leisure is like that for an adult. Like when you can find a thing that brings that joy, but can be focused on God, and it causes you to wonder, and it like almost brings you outside of time and space.
Yeah.
It's like that's where like the leisure can turn into contemplative prayer. And that's how like our porch nights turn into, is like
All of a sudden it's 3 a.m.
3
Like, all
a.m.,
of a
you're like-
sudden it's 3 a.m. and
Yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh, we need to go
That's
to
like
bed.
something
Orland's been sleeping
on-
this whole time.
But that's how I feel about our fire nights too. You
Yeah.
know, it's all of that. There's just, it creates conversation. It causes wonder. It causes contemplation.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's where all the good talks happen.
It is.
And
How
that's
this got started.
like-
Exactly.
So to go off that, reflecting on the day, and I was thinking about different levels of leisure today, and I experienced all of them, and it was just really cool the way like I reflected on it.
Mhm.
There's a moment where Orland just woke up from a nap. I just finished the lawn, and Jordyn brings him. He's like, he's just been asking for you. I was like, all right, cool, bring him out. And he's kind of in this like finicky mood, I can tell. Let's just lay on the ground. I go, let's look up at the clouds. So we just laid on the ground, and he's laying on my chest, and we were just like looking up at the clouds, and they were just like going by. And I was just like, man, we don't do this enough. Like, it's useless. There's nothing. We're not producing anything in this moment. And it was just so peaceful, though. And then literally after about 5 minutes of that, his whole mood changed. It was just reset. He was just ready to go. And in the best mood after that. But then we had one where later on in the day where me and Orland were playing while Jordyn was like finishing up cleaning in the house. And I've been promising him like a squirt gun fight. And I fill up the guns. We're sitting there shooting each other. And I realize that he's not shooting me at all. I'm shooting the heck out of him. And he's just, get out of here, Dad. Get out of here. And
Quite literally, he was yelling,
Yeah.
get out of here.
yeah, literally. Not even a 2-year-old saying, get out of here. But it was hilarious. But I realized he like had no joy in like shooting me. He was just shooting other things going around. And I was like, all right, let's go shoot the tree. And like, we're just sitting there shooting the tree. I was like, why are we doing this? I was like, let's go water our little herb garden. So we're just sitting there shooting the little herbs. But it's like, that water's not really doing anything. But on a hot day like that, sitting in the sun, it will do something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not producing much, but that little bit of water helped out those plants.
Mm.
Silly enough. And then, like we already talked about, then you have the other type of leisure of Jordyn and I setting a set time to go out in the porch and just talk or just spend time with each other. And whether it's praying the rosary or just hanging out and seeing how we can grow in our marriage or as parents. And I think that's like the ultimate form of leisure where it's completely growth. Like you are just growing with each other and you know that it's almost like a sacrifice of time because you could be doing something else, but you know what you're building from it is better than that sacrifice of time. And so those were the levels that I experienced today.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
And I got it from that one video we said. They were talking about how like leisure doesn't necessarily have to produce something, but at the
Mhm.
greatest level, it can produce through prayer, meditation, contemplative with God. And
Yeah.
so
That's awesome. I feel like we should go back a little bit here.
Yeah.
So that we can, like,
Yeah.
we've gone on some really good tangents. And maybe it's causing people to wonder because we haven't actually covered everything yet,
Uh-huh.
you know? So then, in that case, moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about just what the Lord's Day is and the foundation of the importance of it, I guess I should say. So we're going to read the Catechism for a little bit here.
Cool.
So 1193, I only wrote this down because not only does it speak to the importance of Sunday, because why wouldn't a 10 Commandments speak to the importance of it enough? But, you know, we get fixed on these days in the year and of Christmas. Oh my gosh, it's Christmas. The Lord's birth. It's so important. Easter. It's the resurrection. It's so important. And whatever feast days we celebrate, right? We're like, oh my gosh, this day, that day, All Souls Day, the feast day.
Yeah.
Every Sunday. That's every Sunday. And
every
this is
Sunday you celebrate
yeah.
all of those things.
Yeah. And so it says in paragraph 1193, Sunday, the Lord's Day, is the principal day for the celebration of the Eucharist because it is the day of resurrection. Every Sunday is Easter. Continuing on, that was my own side note.
Yeah.
It is the permanent day of the liturgical assembly, the day of the Christian family, and the day of joy and rest from work. Sunday is the foundation and kernel of the whole liturgical year. Boom.
Yep.
And we're reading this so that, you know, we're not just speaking opinions over here. I have nothing more to add to that. Just
Yeah.
That's just something that people need to hear for themselves.
I think that gets lost, though, because every Sunday is a celebration of the Lord being born for our salvation. It is celebrating the death and resurrection of him. The fact that it's Christmas, obviously, there's a heightened sense of reverence, and Easter, heightened form of reverence. But yeah, every Sunday should be treated like that.
I want to say, like, life happens. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen every Sunday. But that's true. But it's also, it says in church teaching, if that Sunday can't be that, don't let it become a habit. Don't let the thing that you're allowing on that Sunday become a habit. So if there's a Sunday, and actually I have a perfect example, but I feel like this is going to get us on a tangent.
Let's go.
Is you on Sunday, Kyle, had to go to the office to prepare for your week. You never have to do that.
No.
And you wouldn't normally do that. But yet you still made it a leisure outing.
Oh, it was totally a leisure.
But this is my point.
Yeah. Because I've had Sundays like that in my life where...
Well, those like obscurity days.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I was opening up a restaurant, and I was the pitmaster of the kitchens. And early on, it was during COVID, there was not a lot of help. There was not a lot of workers, so like I just had to be there, and I was on salaries. So, there's Sundays where Jordyn would just meet me in Mass
We'd be
down
like
in Elburn,
5 or 10 minutes late because you're wrapping something up in the kitchen. I would
I'd
bring
be
your church clothes and
barely able to keep my head up during Mass. I was just like, this is my time of rest right now. I was like, this is legitimately the one time I can sleep right now. So, and once that happened, though, that's when like things flipped for me. I was like, no, something's got to change.
Yeah.
I did a St. Joseph novena, and yeah, things just flipped around after that. But it was like, that was a habit for me for a moment in my life. I'm like, that is never happening again.
yeah.
And then this happened recently where, we had to go out of town for South Bend, and then I was like, Jordyn, I'm sorry, but we got to go down to the office really quick. And she's, oh, whatever. We're down in St. Charles. Let's go to get lunch and just make an afternoon out of it. I'm like, oh, this sounds great. This doesn't work. Orland got to drive on the forklift. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it'll come up soon. And where it says don't allow these things to become a habit, it's not wrong if on a Sunday you have something come up and you're like, it doesn't really feel like a Sunday. You know, I have to do this thing. Yeah. But if it's multiple weekends in a row or becomes a thing for you, can you not plan your week better? Can you not reprioritize things?
Yep.
We were just talking about how God's grace you almost get more done when you surrender your time to Him.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
And I don't even think it's almost like you just do.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have a stat for that, but I'm pretty sure it's true.
Yeah, and that's faith right there.
Yeah.
It's having faith in surrendering your time.
So just to backtrack for a second here, not fully, but paragraph 2172, it talks about the last line of this paragraph. I was like, oof, call out. It says, God's action is the model for human action. If God rested and was refreshed on the seventh day, man too ought to rest and should let others, especially the poor, be refreshed. The Sabbath brings everyday work to a halt and provides a respite. It is a day of protest against the servitude of work and the worship of money. That last line, I was like, dang.
Yep.
Even if you don't think you worship money, you have to work to make money to provide for your family, to eat food, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's not that you're sitting there worshiping money Monday through Friday, but if you can't take Sunday to not, that's the call out of worship. What is your priority? That's how I look at it.
Oh, that's
for
how
sure.
I look at it too.
What is your priority? Who's your idol? What's your idol?
Yeah.
And what do you care about more?
Yeah.
Again, circumstances happen and you might have to do something here and there, but you can't let it become the habit.
Yeah, there have been times in my life too where like I've had something come up on a Sunday where I had to do work, and in the moment kind of realized like, well, thinking it's providing for my family, but then reflecting on it, it was like, no, that was a worship of money. That was like, there was maybe envy was like rooted behind it.
Keeping up with the Joneses type of a deal.
Yeah, but it's so easy to disguise it, especially as a man, as I got to provide for the family. I got to provide for the family. I got to provide for the family. It's so easy to just wrap it up in that. And then I've been really good about not doing it on Sunday. And there was one time where it slipped up and it felt weird and it happened and it just backfired bad. God smacked me in the face with it. And it's always been a rule in my life to, like, after obscurity and stuff like that, and I changed careers, to steer away from that. God will provide. Just because when I went to school for culinary and got my first big job, I was praying I just want to do barbecue every day. I just want to do barbecue every day. That's what I want to do. And like, I got this golden opportunity laid on my lap. Like, I didn't search for it. It just got laid on my lap. I'm like, this is amazing. It was a new restaurant opening up, building it out, and I helped open it up. And the next thing you know, I'm working these crazy hours.
It was right when we got married, too.
Right when we got married, right in the middle of COVID. And I was realizing that I started to change my prayer now to, all right, this obviously isn't for me. This is causing stress in my life. This isn't good. I'm working on Sundays. I can't stay awake during Mass. I guess I just need to work for a boss that has the same values as I do. I don't care what that job is at this point. I want to provide for my family, and I just want to work with somebody that has the same values as I do. And then that prayer led me to working for your dad and One Source, which is a Catholic-owned company. But I realized that I was working for myself back then. It was what I wanted to do. I gave a prayer to God of saying, I want to cook barbecue every day.
How cool he let you go through that, though.
Yep.
To realize that it wasn't
prior to having kids. Because what would have happened had you just chose a different career and you never had that opportunity to know what that life was like, and that was presented to you now? It would still be enticing to you.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, that's my dream.
Yeah.
And God was like, have your dream.
Man, here's your dream, buddy.
Here's your dream.
Here's your dream.
What's my dream for you?
And that's, I feel like, very common in today is like the working for self.
This is what I've always thought I should do. I've always wanted to do this.
You're not working for the love of God. You're working for self-love. You're not looking to glorify God. You're working for yourself.
So many things that we talk about, Jordyn, are like, it's order. What is the order? What is your order? Is it God? And then if you're married, your spouse and your family, whatever, what's proper order?
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself, what's my order? And you can speak to this, Kyle, because you're a man. You can say all day, I'm doing this for them.
Yeah.
But if there is utter chaos in your life, especially as a husband and a dad, and it's causing, you don't have peace yourself, that's where you need to ask yourself, I would say.
Well, if it's taking away from being a father.
Yeah.
That's how I always view it. Is my work going to take me away from being a father? Because I never want that to happen.
But at the time, you weren't even a father.
But like at this point, how I like reflect on it now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, at that point, is my work going to take me, I got to the point where it's like, oh, my work's taking me away from being a husband.
Yeah.
Like, I'm waking up at 4 to go to the restaurant, and then I'm coming home at 10 because somebody didn't come in.
11 or 12.
Or 11.
18 hours later. Yeah.
I tell her I come home, I'm like, I'm going to try to be home by 10 tonight. And then it's like rolling up, and she's on the porch, and it's 12 o'clock.
I'm passed out.
Yeah, she's waiting up for me. That is like the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize work is like the priority at that point. I'm not prioritizing my wife at all in this aspect. And if I'm not prioritizing my wife, I'm definitely not prioritizing God. So.
Yeah. A hot take, not from me, but my brother. I was on the phone with Daniel the other day, and he was saying, unless your lights are about to be shut off, he goes, that's how drastic I would go with it. Unless your lights are about to be shut off, or like you can't feed your family, why the heck you working on Sunday?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not a man. I'll support it.
Yeah.
But
there definitely are those drastic cases.
Yeah.
Or you're in a situation, maybe you got medical bills that stack up.
Yep.
You have all these different scenarios that you're just surviving at that point. Like,
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yep.
But if you still have God at the center of it, you working on Sunday, I would believe that you are still going to have God at the center of it. You know what I mean? You make, you're going to have some sort of repentance. Like, hey, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I just have to provide for my family.
I remember there was one Sunday growing up, and we had to work for Dad. So I think it's the only Sunday with him that I ever worked. When I worked at the hospital, I had no choice, and I had to work some Sundays. Like, I got no say in that, unfortunately. But anyways.
That could be an act of mercy if you think about it too, though.
It's true.
I'll work of mercy.
True.
Because you're taking care of the sick.
True. We'll read that paragraph in a second here. Like, there was one Sunday where he got an emergency call, and only Daniel and I were working for him because he had no workers. And it was that time of life where it was like, if we don't do this, will the lights be on? It was one of those situations. We got a call. We've got to go do it. It was like, I can't believe we're working on a Sunday. I can remember it so vividly because this is crazy. It was in the middle of winter too, which is the hardest time for roofing. So we're just removing snow off the roof. That's what we were doing. Yeah. But I'll never forget that. Like, it felt wrong. Yeah. It felt so wrong because it's just not what we grew up with. But also, it was like a had-to moment. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Those moments do come along.
They do. They absolutely do. So 2173 talks about works of mercy. So Jesus is our example in this paragraph. And since, Kyle, you were like, oh, like my hospital job could be looked at works of mercy, that's actually so true. So it says, the gospel reports many incidents when Jesus was accused of violating the Sabbath law. But Jesus never fails to respect the holiness of this day. He gives this law its authentic and authoritative interpretation. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. With compassion, Christ declares the Sabbath for doing good rather than harm, for saving life rather than killing. The Sabbath is the day of the Lord of mercies and a day to honor God. The Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. So if you go and serve at a soup kitchen, right? You do these works of mercy, or you know someone, you go and do work for someone who's in need. Mm-hmm. It's not the same, in that moment, that's not the same work of your day to day.
And I do believe that it has to be like an act of charity to where there is joy in your heart of doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I do believe that there has to be a joy in your heart of doing it. And if there's not a joy in your heart of doing it, then that's where it becomes a fault, you know?
Yeah, that's actually a good point, that there should be charity in your heart when doing so.
Well, I have this other thing from the Catechism, and it says, leisure is a time for works of mercy, not idleness, but activity that brings joy and contributes to the well-being of others, especially the poor and needy, cultivating charity.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that was something that upon research, I never really thought of too, is like leisure also being like a community thing. It's a very communicative, like it can be obviously just you, yourself, and I and God, but it also just is community and being there with others. And especially if you surround yourself with the right community, it can be really fruitful. I always assume when you're resting by yourself. But it can be extremely fruitful when you're surrounded by the right people and doing like acts of charities for these other people.
Well, it's even just the thought that, you know, we weren't meant to be alone. You can look at that in the Bible where it says man was not created to be alone. But you can also look at it in the way of companionship in friendship, where the disciples weren't even sent out one by one. They were sent out two by two. Mm. You were always meant for community. You were always meant to be with people. So that matters. And so on a Sunday, to go spend time with people is leisure.
Well, that's like where it says it helps to cultivate familial, cultural, and social and religious lives. Mm-hmm. So it's like you need to be social. Yeah. It's designed for that, for your community, for growing in it.
Again, the Sabbath was created
for man.
For man. We weren't created for the Sabbath. We weren't created to honor the Sabbath. He created it for us. We're denying a gift, honestly, and a grace when we blow it off and keep working our lives away.
Yeah.
He didn't create it to burden you.
Yeah.
He created it to help you. Because he knows man. He knows our heart. He knows the image he created us in. It was him. And obviously it was to work, no matter what, if it was before the fall or not.
Yeah.
And so if we were created for work, because of the fall, our tendency is going to be to work to a stupid amount, to an amount that is irrational to him, where he's like, can you just not for a second?
Yeah.
Can you
I
just
gave you a day to rest.
I literally gave you an extra day of the week so that you could just chill out. And I gave you a day, and I made it a commandment so that during the week, you can work your butt off. But on this day, I made it a commandment because I know how dumb you are to say, come and be with me. Yeah. Come and grow with me. If you had a spiritual director, if they were like, I'm requiring you to do every day 10 minutes of prayer. God was like, as your
spiritual father,
designer,
like as your spiritual director, the end all be all man.
Yeah.
I'm commanding you one day that you won't work.
Yeah.
That's your homework.
Yeah. That's all you got to do.
Pass or fail.
Yeah.
Pass or fail, people.
Yeah.
Are you failing or are you passing? It's pretty simple.
It is.
Yeah, you know?
And it is funny that it's hard to do because I've experienced this in my own life where like I had to ask for Sundays off. And they're like, well, why? I'm just like, well, I got to go to church and I'm not going to work that day. And it's an uncomfortable feeling in sitting across from your boss who doesn't have the same values as you. It's a very uncomfortable feeling.
I did ask that at the hospital and I was very rejected.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people don't care.
Yeah.
And it's hard to just be like, well, then I'm leaving, you know, what, we can go find another job. Sometimes that's hard too. But you should also know that God will provide for you and you will find something, especially for sticking up for your faith in that way. For being young and dumb like I didn't think about that.
Whose praise are you looking for?
Yeah, exactly. You know? Yeah.
So it's interesting you brought that up, though, because in the Catechism, it literally says this. Listen to this. In respecting religious liberty and the common good of all, Christians should seek recognition of Sundays and the church's holy days as legal holidays.
Yeah.
They have to give everyone a public example of prayer, respect, and joy, and defend their traditions as precious contribution to the spiritual life of society. Yeah. If a country's legislation or other reasons require work on Sunday, the day should nevertheless be lived as the day of our deliverance, which lets us share in this feastal gathering, this assembly of the firstborn who are enrolled in heaven. Come on, the church literally tells us, like, it's our duty. It is our duty, especially as Americans, to go and say, no.
Yeah.
Growing up, my dad, I don't confront anyone, but it would be basketball. Yeah. And growing up for me, it was actually pretty rare to have a Sunday game. Now it's all the time for the kids, but like really rare for us. And he would go to the coaches and he'd be like, we go to mass at 10:30 on Sundays. She won't be there.
Yeah.
And that was it. And they would be like, what? And it was always that rule of if you're not there for this hour before or whatever, the 30 minutes before, you're not playing kind of a thing. And they're like, well, can she show up? And he'd be like, yep, at noon. She'll be there by noon. And they would be like, okay, that's fine. But he would like demand. He was like, nope. And if she's missing the championship game, it's your fault. It's a Sunday. I was like, what a man.
That is.
But they would always
talk to our coaches. When our kids
they would always try to figure it out because they were like,
oh, what are we going to do?
Especially if you're a star player, which you were good. So if I missed the game, my coaches would have been like, thank God we don't have to put her in. The 1 year I played
There's no
basketball.
guilt today.
That's so funny. No, but it was just like, what a man.
Yeah,
you know?
Setting the law right there.
Yeah.
But the one thing that stuck out to me was, I think it was like feast gathering, or it was one of the last lines.
Yeah, it said, nevertheless, be lived as the day of our deliverance, which lets us share in this feastal gathering.
So what made me think was you talk to people that don't have the faith, and they're like, well, nobody can work on Sunday? Nobody? What are we going to do then? Could you imagine a world where your community just gets together and the town is getting together and you're just having this huge just like party, and it may seem like work, but it's not, because we are coming together to glorify God and to celebrate God. And we are going to feast together because of what he has sacrificed for us.
It would be incredible.
I think that'd be the coolest, because what got me into cooking was community. You're cooking for people. That can be a job, but it is such an act of service. It can be leisure, it can be a leisure activity.
Absolutely. So again, the church, it's weird that the church knows things.
So weird.
Because you're talking about this and I'm like, I don't want to read this because we're going out for a brunch on a Sunday tomorrow. But besides the point, I'll read it. It talks about not going to places that are open to not support the fact that people have to work on the Sunday. So listen to this for a second. Okay. So 2187, for anyone who wants to read it themselves, says sanctifying Sundays and holy days requires a common effort. So just to pause real quick, this whole conversation is not just about keeping the Lord's Day holy. It's convicting people. We've lost it.
Yeah.
Come back to it.
Yeah.
I don't know people who really, truly honor that. I could probably count on one hand the people I know who are I'm just doing this today because it's God's day. It's this conversation is bring it back. Bring back the gravity of what this day holds. There's 10 commandments to follow, and it's one of them.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
If you want to go that basic. But
that's exactly it. It's that basic.
Yeah, it's that basic. But it's been so lost. So anyways, I felt called out by reading this, and I was like, well,
I think we'll be making brunch.
We might need to do something. But anyways, it says sanctifying Sundays and holy days requires a common effort.
Yeah.
Every Christian should avoid making unnecessary demands on others that would hinder them from observing the Lord's Day, traditional activities, sports, restaurants, etc.
Yeah.
And social necessities, public services, etc.
Yeah.
Require some people to do work on Sundays, but everyone should still take care to set aside sufficient time for leisure. With temperance and charity, the faithful will see to it that they avoid the excess and violence sometimes associated with popular leisure activities. In spite of economic constraints, public authorities should ensure citizens a time intended for rest and divine worship. Employers have a similar obligation toward their employees. Obviously, that's been completely washed in society. It's gone.
Yeah.
That's not even a thing. It's just really interesting that, when you dive into this topic, you're like, oh, shoot. It's our duty as Catholics. You know how many Catholics are in America? If we all actually took to this, it'd be changed.
It would be.
It just would.
Absolutely. Yep.
So what's funny is that we talked about how it's the grace of God, but we're like, but where's the proof? This whole section is called A Day of Grace.
Oh,
Rest from work.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Love the Catechism.
Well, the one definition I got was leisure is it's an interior disposition. It's not just an activity.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it mentally as well. You have to set up for it to receive God's grace and truth.
All right, let's go to this last section because I feel like this will help us wrap up and whatnot. So let's see here. 2185. On Sundays and other holy days of obligation, the faithful are to refrain from engaging in work or activities that hinder the worship owed to God. The joy proper to the Lord's Day, the performance of the works of mercy, and the appropriate laxation of the mind and body. Family needs or important social service can legitimately excuse from the obligation of Sunday rest. The faithful should see to it that the legitimate excuses do not lead to habits. I don't know how to say that actually.
Prejudicial. Do you just want me to read that last sentence for you?
Yeah, read that last sentence.
The faithful should see to it that legitimate excuses do not lead to habits prejudicial to religion, family life, and health.
The charity of truth seeks holy leisure. The necessity of charity accepts just work. Yeah. How to keep the Lord's Day holy. If you have to actually work on a Sunday, you just can't let it become the habit. That's really what this paragraph is talking about.
Yeah.
We understand that leisure should lead to God. We've made that point. So now it's, I didn't realize this, and I have to work every random Sunday because this is what my job requires super infrequently. Okay? It's not a habit.
Yeah.
You're not ruining every Sunday because of it. Yeah. To an extent, like, life happens, but don't let it become the habit. Also, ask yourself your priorities. So we've already talked about that before.
That God knows your heart, your mind. Like, he knows how you feel about it and where you're at with it. And as long as it's maybe you offer up that work for sufferings in some other extent, like, as long as you're doing something to still bring it back to God, I think there's ways to still do that. And it almost turns into a work of mercy or prayerful in that way.
Definitely.
Because it can be a struggle for you if it's like truly like that hard for you, that it's something you can't leave and you're stuck with. And it hurts you to do it, so then you can offer up that struggle.
Yeah. I would also challenge it, though, to, is it that act of faith that you have to surrender? Yeah. Like, where are you at with it? Because you might be in the place that you're talking about, but also, are you in the place of, well, I'm turning it into a prayer, so it's fine.
That's a good point.
You know, like, you have to ask yourself, where are you? And be honest with yourself, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, ask yourself, if I don't work today, am I really screwed for life?
Well, that's where I think you can turn back to where you can actually just bring it to, you know what, I'm going to just trust in the Lord here. I'm going to stick up for you. I'm going to stand up for my faith. I'm going to put it on the line. No, I am not working Sundays.
Yeah.
And if I get fired, but I know I did it for you, Lord. And I know you will provide for me better. In a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tenfold.
Yep.
And
His grace will come through.
It's a scary thing to do.
Yep.
But I imagine that's the way to do it. Especially after reading the last thing we reread in the Catechism about restaurants shouldn't even be open. Yeah. I'm like, man.
The common good.
Nobody should be doing anything.
Yeah. We all need to stop loving brunch on Sundays.
We all just get together, go to church, and have a barbecue together. Yeah, that's what we need to do.
That's what we need to do. Yeah, for sure. So then this next paragraph is a good follow-up. It says in 2186, those Christians who have leisure should be mindful of their brethren who have the same needs and the same rights, yet cannot rest from work because of poverty and misery. Sunday is traditionally consecrated by Christian piety to good works and humble service of the sick, the infirm, and the elderly. Christians will also sanctify Sunday by devoting time and care to their families and relatives, often difficult to do on other days of the week. Sunday is a time for reflection, silence, cultivation of the mind, and meditation, which furthers the growth of the Christian interior life. So, going back real quick, that first paragraph, first sentence. Those Christians who have leisure should be mindful of their brethren who have the same needs and the same rights, yet cannot rest from work because of poverty and misery. Poverty and misery.
Yeah. Pretty extreme, huh?
That's extreme.
Yeah.
That's like grave. Daniel saying, you know,
like you shouldn't be working unless your lights are literally about to turn off.
Yeah, that's a grave reason.
And if you think about it too, it's like the same thing of...
What would you say would misery be?
Yeah, how would you describe misery?
The interior disposition, because they are in a state of misery, like spiritually, that they can't like cultivate leisure in their mind and heart.
So I just asked truthfully.
Okay.
Because Matt Frad supports it, and I decided to test it out. So truthfully, for anyone who's wondering, this is free sponsorship for them, or whatever, advertising, whatever. Anyways, truthfully said, in a general sense, misery is understood as a state of great distress or suffering, typically characterized by unhappiness, discomfort, and hardship. It is a condition that can be physically, emotional, or spiritual, impacting one's well-being and a sense of fulfillment. So, misery is...
I think of depression.
A form of depression.
Deep state of depression.
Yeah.
Like a spiritual depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Or you're probably in a state of despair. Despair is probably a good word.
Yeah.
Like misery and despair. You're just like, why me, God? What?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Okay. So that would be a person who can't enter into the interior disposition of leisure, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Say that one more time.
So I would say the person in misery is somebody who cannot enter into the internal disposition of leisure.
Boom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because
that was
in
really good.
misery, they cannot receive God's grace and truth.
Great. So, but that's the gravity of the Sunday, right? So,
Yeah. It makes me relate to a married couple not wanting kids. Okay, so is this
like NFP?
Yeah, NFP or is this a grave reason why you need? Are you in poverty? Are you in misery to where you cannot, support a child at this moment?
Which is why you should be avoiding or whatever.
Well, this is why you should. Yeah, exactly. But
It's not just
outside
about,
of these reasons, you should be open and thankful and grateful and have joy in this.
Yes. And it's just like your comparison of obscurity. You thought that was your dream.
That was my dream. Yeah.
And as a parent,
So
you think you're not patient enough. You think you're not good enough. You think whatever you think about yourself, and you're like, there's no way I have the capacity to love another.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah.
God knows, and God has the grace to give.
Yeah.
That's not up to you, actually.
No.
Which is why it's NFP.
Yeah.
No future plans. You got no choice.
Oh, that's what it stands for. That's
Good.
hilarious. I've never heard that
good.
before.
It's that same idea.
Yeah.
But
So it's funny because with that, it made me think of, NFP and that, but really in some way, there's not a lot of free will in that department to where there's going to mass on Sunday is nothing but your own will. Like it's all your own will. It's up to you. This is an every Sunday decision that you have to make, to where the other example is there's a lot of God in that situation, like he is the creator. He will create life when he wants to, like
you can avoid it all you want.
Yeah. But it's just beautiful.
You can't accidentally walk into church on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so funny. Yeah. But it is like those grave reasons. There's not a lot of them. There's really the excuses are minimal.
Yeah, they are so minimal. And we've been guilty of these things. Like, we're not trying to sit here and point a finger at everybody. But the point of this conversation is we've realized the gravity of it.
Yeah.
It's sad that more people don't realize the gravity of it.
Yeah.
What? It matters. It just...
And, we need to bring it back to the point where all restaurants are shut down. I think it would be the greatest thing in the world.
Siestas every afternoon and everything be shut down on Sunday.
Why is everybody happier in Europe?
Yeah.
No,
I know, yeah.
Actually, though, let's bring that up for a second. So I did research on studies, and this speaks to the fact that leisure is so lost. So in June of this year, a survey revealed that 57% of Americans report feeling lonely. That is more than half the population.
It's insane.
57% of people feel lonely. Among those feeling lonely, 75% also report having little to no meaning or purpose in life. Okay?
75%.
Yep, and then 81% of those people experience anxiety and depression.
Wow.
Harvard did a study, and the rates of depression have nearly doubled in the past decade, with 1 in 8 Americans experiencing symptoms of depression. 1 in 5 teens now struggle with depression, and that number spikes with those who have time online. So now listen to this. Americans now spend over 3 hours a day on their phones. Not reading, praying, or building relationships, but scrolling through their feeds. 3 hours a day. So if you go to work from 9 to 5, from 5 to 8 o'clock, you're scrolling on your phone.
That's your whole day. That is your whole day.
Then it says TV remains the number one leisure activity, with adults spending 3 hours a day watching. Yet reports of life satisfaction and mental health are plummeting.
Yeah.
Leisure reading has dropped 40% since 2003. None of this is a coincidence.
No.
All of these connect.
Yeah, they correlate.
How odd is it that we live in the most connected world in history?
And we're all disconnected.
And everyone is miserable and lonely and questioning what is the meaning of life.
Yep.
That's sad.
Yep. because there's a lot of time scrolling on the phone and not a lot of time contemplating.
Looking at somebody's face and talking.
So even if your Sunday, you're like, oh, I go to Mass, what does your rest of your Sunday look like?
There would be more benefit of contemplating silently why you're lonely, the meaning of life, and wondering where you fit in this world for the 3 hours than it would be you just scrolling on your phone, sorrowing in yourself because you feel this way. Spend that time contemplating, like
trying to
even
figure
if
it
you're
out,
not
just sitting
talking
here
to God. Yeah, even if you're not talking to God, in that moment, he will come to you, I believe. Like, he will be there with you. If you're truly in despair, truly contemplating why you're so lonely, like, he will come and comfort you. And rather than just ignoring it and then trying to see these other
shut
people
off your
be
brain and
shut off your mind and see all these other people be happy and the life that I want to live.
Yep.
And what I'm going to reach for.
Envy, comparison.
Yeah. That's probably a lot of teenagers right now. Majority. Gotta be 90%. Like
it says in the Bible, like, what defiles a man is not what goes into him, it's what comes out of him. And when you think about it, I always tell the kids that I teach, garbage in is garbage out. So it's not, okay, so like technically, what comes into you doesn't have to defile you.
No.
However, when they go on their phones and they're looking at all of these reels and TikToks and whatever they're watching of other people's lives, like I've watched my nieces and nephews watch a YouTube video where they're watching someone else live their life. And like, why don't you just go outside and do that same thing? But then they're all in bad moods after. And it's no coincidence because the garbage that went in, they let defile them.
Yeah.
And it came out in comparison and anger and envy of, I don't get to do that.
Yeah.
I don't have that life. Look at the fun that they're having. But that's what we all do. So it's not necessarily that everything that you watch and see has to defile you.
No.
But it's what you allow to come out of you.
Yep.
That wrecks you. But that's not to say that you shouldn't be vigilant. Be vigilant. And if you know that social media affects your state of mind,
make you feel that way, to stay away from it.
Get off of it.
Yeah, stay away from it.
And it's way easier said than done to just be like, oh, I'm done, because you're addicted.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that moment in parenting. That's tough stuff, like nowadays. That's tough stuff.
Yeah.
Keeping your kids away from it. Because that's the ultimate goal.
It's hard for the parents.
That's an ultimate goal, I guess it's cultivating what leisure actually is from the start.
Yeah. We need to
this
actually have
leisure
so that we can teach our kids what true leisure and
this isn't
cultivating the familial life
stuff.
Yeah.
This is going to give you anxiety and stress, like realizing that, but it's still just hard. And it's all cultivating community, making sure they're surrounded by the right people that are still trying to keep their kids off of social media. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that in parenting at all. It's tough stuff.
Okay. So this will be like our ending reflection time. Kyle, what does leading your family and keeping the Sabbath look like for you practically? Or I guess keeping the Lord's Day?
Learning how to not let social events and other things prioritize what time we go to Mass. I think sticking to that time and doing it every week and making sure you get there early enough to be prepared and then to spend time afterwards. What are you doing after Mass? Are you just busying yourself? It's just keeping it consistent and making sure the world around us doesn't alter when we go to Mass.
Do you view work as a sacrifice? How do you live that out as a husband and father, especially during the week?
So, when I changed my career, it felt like a sacrifice, like heavily. Because I went from cooking something that I love to roofing, which I knew nothing about. Had no idea. So that felt like a sacrifice so I could give the life that I want for our family and trusting in the Lord that I'll be able to provide for our family. But now that I've gotten into it, and honestly learning from your brother too, because he mentored me a lot, and same with your father. But I worked like hands-on with Daniel early on, and he was one of those guys that he worked for the greater glory of God. Like when he was working, I could tell like God was with him in this, and like we would pray going into work in the morning, and so that helped me realize that it's a gift. It's a gift from God to be able to work and it's a service to other people. So yeah, it started out as a sacrifice to change a career, but yeah, it's turned into a joy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Jordyn, do you feel like you noticed that shift in him at all?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I was always worried are you going to feel resentful for making the shift in order to provide for our family?
Yeah.
Are you going to feel resentful giving up your dream, what you went to school for?
Yeah.
All of that kind of stuff. But thank God for our communication that we have, because we would go through it. Yeah. Like we would talk about it and touch base on it all the time.
Yeah.
Every step of the way of making the decision for him to make the shift.
Yeah.
And switch careers.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever disagreed on what leisure should look like, and how did you work through that?
Early on in our relationship, when we were dating, Kyle only ever just wanted to watch football on Sundays. And I was like, so you're saying that there is no option other than watching football on Sundays? I'm like, it's going to be fall. What if we want to go like hiking or go somewhere or whatever? But you can't do it because you're watching football.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your leisure.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was a big argument.
Well, you guys have been together for 10 years already.
Yeah.
You've been married for 5, but together for 10.
It still carries into marriage because there's times where I'm like, Bears are going to be really good this year. Got to make sure I watch those games. Like, I'm a very avid, like, Chicago sports fan, so it's just, like, hard for me to turn it off, and I've definitely gotten better at it.
That's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a sacrifice, but I also know that it's not.
You've also gotten better at not
I'm not growing from watching.
Much.
Yeah, I'm not growing from watching sports. So
yeah,
but I've also learned to enjoy just like the relaxation during that time.
Yeah, it's finding the time. It's like making sure things have been taken care of, and we do have this time to relax.
Like it works in the day to do it.
Yeah. And it's not like I'm like, hey, shh, don't say anything.
Yeah.
There's play about to happen. Like we can sit there and talk, have conversation. And, you know,
half the time he watches that on mute so that we can just like actually hang out or play with Orlin.
I thought that was something I started doing within the last couple of years. It's just like, well, I'm going to watch the game. I'll just mute it. So then it's way less annoying. You know what I mean?
It's not like taking over the whole house.
Do you feel like it takes down your intensity in it too then? Because you're not listening to the commentators? Yeah. That's smart. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know for a fact not a lot of guys like to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's a really
I would say that was like our biggest argument.
Yeah.
What's your favorite holy leisure activity to do as a couple or family?
So mine is going to different churches. I love going to old churches or just beautifully built architectural churches and, you know, like going down to the city. Seeing,
I was going to say, so pilgrimages?
Yeah. This is what I was thinking. Okay, yeah, sure. We have so many other projects on our house that we could have prioritized earlier before we had kids and all that kind of stuff. But we took the time to take pilgrimages, and that's where a lot of our money went, rather than doing some of the big upgrades.
I wouldn't
change it for a thing.
Wouldn't change it for a thing.
No.
That's awesome.
Love that we went to Italy and Ireland, and we got to experience that.
Yeah. What's yours?
What's mine? I was just going to say some of my favorite nights are when we just sit down and read, and we'll just start pulling stuff from our papers. Oh my gosh, this is such a good sentence or such a good paragraph. And then we'll take breaks from our reading and just have full-blown conversations.
Yeah.
Kyle, what do you think men often get wrong about rest or the Lord's Day observances?
I would say rest is lack of production. Men like to produce things. Men like to build things. Men like to do things. So to rest is very hard for them. That's what I think, and I've experienced it as well. I've worked for self-love. So I would say that's the biggest struggle. And then what was the other question? The biggest struggle with keeping the Lord's Day holy?
Yeah.
I would say if you're in the state where you're providing for your family, it's just an easy excuse. Yeah. Well, that and if you're a big sports fan, it's easy to just like give your day to the sports. I gotta go to mass at this time because the game is starting at this time. That was something that I had to deal with.
Yeah.
Providing for your family is an easy excuse to just be like, well, I gotta go work. That and, you work hard throughout the week. So that's your day of just relaxation. Oh, I just don't want to do anything. Well,
It's turning into idleness rather than...
yeah, turning into idleness. And are you growing from that? Which sometimes you do have to do that. Sometimes your body does need to recuperate, especially if you work a labor.
That's probably where the rest and the leisure come in together. Like the rest is like the rejuvenating of your body.
Yep.
So it's like even if you are doing nothing, you can pray the rosary while you're doing nothing. You're just read the Bible while you're doing nothing. Even if you're like, no, my mind is... I've been there where you're just like, no, I just need to shut off. Like I just want to shut off my mind to take a nap.
Yeah.
Put on Gregorian chant and think about nothing. Turn off your brain. That's fine.
I love naps, and there is something I like, but I always felt guilty about it.
Yeah.
But there was a point to where it was just like, especially when like battling vice, I heard something that was just like, if you ever come into a temptation of vice, just take a nap. And I was like, oh, this is beautiful. I was like, I love this. And it just makes so much sense, though. It's just try to lay down and take a nap. And if you can't fall asleep, you're going to end up contemplating something in your mind.
Yeah. Well, it's like at night when, they say not to sit on your phone. I'm like, when you sit on your phone, for however long you sit on your phone, all you're doing is prolonging thinking and processing about your day. Like, you're just prolonging the thoughts that are going to come up anyway, unless you scroll to the point that you fall asleep.
Yeah.
But I'm like, is that part of people's depression? Like, you're scrolling for 3 hours till like the wee hours of the morning?
Well, they probably have their TV on in their bedroom, and then they scroll the whole time, and then they get too tired to scroll, so then they just fall asleep to their TV and not think.
Yeah, it's sad. Because I'm like, I know it personally. Like, nights where I get sucked into scrolling, and then it's like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my gosh, and I turn it off, and then all the thoughts come in, and I'm like, wow, I just ruined myself by 2 hours because I wasted an hour on my phone. Now I wasted an hour thinking.
You're like, man, I need to go to bed. I can't do any prayer now.
Yep, you just ruin yourself. Last question for you, Kyle. What do you tell other dads or husbands who say they're too busy to prioritize rest or leisure?
If you want to be the leader in faith for your family, is to make sure that you're keeping the Lord's Day holy. Everything stems from that. Yeah. I would say that's it. Just so if you're not doing that, the order's out of whack. Go contemplate, figure out what the order is. Go have some leisure and figure out what your order is. But yeah, if you're not, that's the golden rule, in my opinion, of being a leader of faith for your family.
On your deathbed, are you going to wish you worked that Sunday, or are you going to wish that you spent more time with your family?
Something we say all the time. Like, you're just like, well, on my deathbed, I'm not going to wish I got that built-in done quicker. I'm going to be thankful with the time that I spent with my family, and it's going to get done.
Yeah.
It's going to get done when it gets done. And the days that I do work on it, they're joyful. They're not. It's not a chore.
Yeah. That's good.
So
that's awesome.
But yeah, I would just say golden rule. That's what you got to do.
Awesome. I know I said we weren't going to do an examination, but I'm just going to read these questions off. Cool. If you're exhausted by Sunday night, are you really observing the Sabbath or just taking a break from work? Have we replaced Sabbath worship with Sabbath productivity? Oh, it's the Lord's Day. I get to do X, Y, and Z. This is my day to be productive on these things. This is my Sabbath day doesn't look like my normal Monday through Saturday, but it's still about productivity. If your kids know how to throw a ball, but not how to pray, what are your Sundays forming them for? Would Jesus recognize your Sunday as holy? Do you trust God enough to rest? Is our obsession with productivity just modern-day slavery with a smile?
That's what I've always thought.
Totally. I've never thought of it that way, but yes.
Are your Sundays forming your family for heaven or for hustle? And my last question is, do you plan your weekend around Mass or squeeze Mass into your weekend plans? that's all I've got.
Cool.
It's good.
So I hope you all enjoyed this episode on leisure. Thank you, Kyle, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It was
Thanks, honey.
fun having you. It didn't even feel like we were doing a podcast.
I know.
Which was great.
Yeah.
It was really
Technically,
fun.
this is how the podcast started, right?
Yeah.
Us just sitting up,
Yep.
talking.
Sitting up and chatting.
Yep. 100% did.
Yeah. So.
No, this was
yeah,
great.
This was fun.
Oh.
It's good to see what you guys do rather than being upstairs
Waiting to hear it come out on the...
and you walking in on me falling asleep.
And you being like, how did that last 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Well, Kyle, it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's amazing
And
how that works.
here's how 2.5 hours goes. It goes
and
by
like
fast.
Kyle said again, he goes, I can't imagine we're going to talk that long. It's probably going to be a quick one tonight. I'm like, you say that every time.
Yeah.
I do.
That's like the thing with these episodes or how we run it. It's not just facts, it's opinions,
Yeah.
it's contemplating, it's discussion, it's all of it. So
Yeah, it's fun to see what you guys do.
no one size fits all answer in any of these
No.
questions. So thank you for coming on. You know, we'll link all your stuff in the show notes for people.
Yeah, I ain't got
your
stuff.
Instagram, your Facebook, One Source Roofing. Just kidding. All we got is One Source Roofing for him.
Yeah, if you got a leak, you know a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much there for me. So.
That's okay. Everybody got to hear from our #1 supporter. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Good to have you, baby.
Yeah.
And until next time.
Bye.
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 Thanks for listening to the Wannabe Saints podcast.
If you have a question or topic you would like us to cover, reach out to us at wannabesaintspodcast@gmail.com or on Instagram at wannabe_saints.
You can find the link in our show notes.
Thanks for listening, and God bless.